All right, it is time to introduce you to a genius, or should I say another genius. With 200 patents to her name, her contributions have had worldwide adoption in head-mounted display, HD TV, laptop computers, and projector products. She was the technical force behind a generation of low-cost computing and innovative consumer and medical imaging technologies. Some of her technologies are literally on the cusp of being able to read your thoughts. Mary Lou Jepson has been called the genius revolutionizing medicine. She is one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people and CNN's top 10 thinkers in science and technologies. She's founded a new startup called Open Water, using light to see inside our bodies. Please welcome to our stage, Mary Lou Jepson. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. So I want you to imagine a world of healthcare diagnostics and therapeutics augmented or replaced by silicon and software. That includes drugs, replacing drugs with silicon and software. It's not crazy. Drugs penetrate our body, so does infrared light, so does sound, above the sound we can hear, ultrasound, so does electromagnetics. Right now, fields like consumer electronics, semiconductor device physics, and artificial intelligence are coming together, as I'll show you today, to treat and potentially cure deadly diseases. Deadly diseases in a way not possible right now for all, transcending borders and income levels. This isn't just a dream. I'm going to show you how we're making progress in treating deadly cancers, debilitating mental diseases, as well as stroke. Doctors need better solutions now. Drugs take 30 years and billions of dollars to get approval. This is Kate. Kate has a deadly cancer. The standard of care hasn't worked for her, so she's lucky. She got into a clinical trial. However, she's not responding to the drug. She's desperate. This is it. There are lots of Kates out there of many ages. Their families are desperate for more, and there isn't much more. But 3 months ago, Kate's doctors found out about us at Open Water. We have a transformational, foundational, new device that might, well, it's giving Kate's doctors hope. It could possibly change her outcome, Kate's outcome, or save her life if we could get the device to her on time. Why? With the same device, we have stunning results on treating glioblastoma, which is what Kate has. Glioblastoma is a 100% deadly form of brain cancer. But with the same device, when we change the software, we're treating severe clinical depression and also large vessel occlusion stroke, the severe type of stroke. A little bit more detail on that. If you look on the right, here are results in mice where we're massively shrinking the tumor, and we're doing that with a 10-minute dose of ultrasound, of therapeutic level ultrasound, lower level than has been used on pregnant women and their fetuses for the last 50 years. If we do this experiment again, we should probably give a second dose on day 5, but these mice have been through autopsy, and what we've shown is we're not harming any of the healthy tissue, unlike standard of care, which is chemotherapy or radiation therapy that we know harms the healthy tissue. Further, if we change the software level, you'll see in the middle, we're treating severe depression. We're treating it because lots of things cause severe depression, but we can see on a scan, if you look at the scans of the brain on the top, the one on the side shows overfiring neurons in something called the default mode network. We treat there and stop those neurons from overfiring, and the patients, 2/3 of them in an ongoing study at University of Arizona, have gone into remission from severe depression. That's better than most any drug. Further, we're diagnosing stroke, where if you have a severe stroke, the trick to treatment is fast diagnosis. If you can detect the stroke and get the stroke victim to care within a 2-hour window, there's 90% chance of no neural deficit whatsoever. It's a time to diagnosis crisis, and so we need to be able to diagnose it like we can a heart attack in the ambulance and get the person to the right care, all with the same device. So we're doing this. How are we doing this? We're riding Moore's law to new places, the ever-doubling transistor density predicted by the founder of Intel more than 50 years ago. We're using a camera chip that's in every single one of your smartphones. We take the lens off of it, and guess what? It's got pixel sizes with that shrink that are the size of the wavelength of light. So we can see the waves in the wavelength of light, and we can read those waves like a sailor can read the waves out on the ocean here and know where the fish are and know where the land is. We're able to read blood flow and blood volume by some metrics 20 times better than multi-million-dollar MRI scanners or CT scanners, using a camera chip and a laser that was a real pain to make. It was the size of a small room and $1 million about 5 years ago. We've now shrunk it down to a semiconductor process. There are 200 lasers in your smartphone where that whole pack of laser costs $1. So what we're looking at and looking at the future of silicon for healthcare is extraordinary for being able to see lots of things inside of your body like blood. In addition, we use sound. We can delay the phase. The phase is where you're at top, middle, or bottom of the thing from one emitter to the next emitter, and steer the sound anywhere we wish to, or the light, near, far, up, down, right, left, anywhere we wish to in your body. We can also use harmonic resonance, like with this wine glass, to either stimulate or even kill certain types of cells. So back to Kate. She has glioblastoma. She's had 2 surgeries. She'll need another because there's still a few cells. The surgeon can't get out all the cells because they hide out amid healthy neurons. You can't take out all the neurons, and these fast divide. So they have some mechanical properties that are different than ordinary cells. 1, they're fast dividing, they're not that stable, and 2, they've got huge nucleuses to enable them to fast divide, and small cytoplasm. So we exploit that property like an opera singer can ping this wine glass, match the note, and make it move up and down until it shatters, destroying things with that mechanical property, but nothing else in the room. So we do that with the glioblastoma cells. How? We built thousands of human brain organoids. They're these little 0.5 millimeter sized brains, and we gave them all glioblastoma. And then we ran through sonification parameter sweeps over, like in music, many octaves and many rhythms to find the best recipes. Here you see the cells expanding and contracting until they die. And when they die, they release proteins that vaccinate the body against the very cancer it has. Switching the frequency and the software layer, we're doing that with the neurons, as I showed you a few slides ago, in humans, and moving them from severe depression into remission. It works. So my background is high-volume consumer electronics, going from the area to physics to high volume really quickly. So I've done that at lots of big companies and startups I co-founded or founded myself. But equally important to that, I'm a brain tumor survivor. Fighting for my life is my life, and now I'm fighting for all of the Kates out there. More important than an individual, of course, is the team. These are heads of the groups at Open Water, and behind them I could show you more pictures of the astonishing people who work in those groups. They all have Kates in their lives. Every single one of you in the audience has a Kate or more in your life. We want to change the outcomes for them. It's possible. This is a contrast in innovation. The modern drug, the modern smartphone both take billions of dollars and decades to come to life. It's amazing. This new drug cures hemophilia with 1 shot. The problem is that shot costs $3 million. It's an understatement to say $3 million is not affordable for the vast, vast majority of humanity. It's still amazing. But contrast with the modern smartphone, that's a lab inside of it. Hundreds of lasers, a dozen radios, 4 camera chips, an ultrasound array. It costs $1,000 and it improves every year. So I think we have to look at things differently to get different solutions. So we're looking at devices, and unlike drugs, where the expensive part of these 30 years for approval is clinical trials, we're using light and sound shown safe in the human body for 100 years on tens of billions of people. It's not in devices, statistically. This is a comprehensive study from 2022 over the last 30 years of complex therapeutic medical devices approved by the FDA that shows the average capitalized cost, that includes the compounding interest of investment, is about $500 million. But 85% of that is not the clinical trials, it's the device development. That's what we have now. So let's dig into a little more detail on that. So we make a device, it takes 13 years to get it into production. You can't use new silicon, because you know what the FDA considers a quality build? 10 units. I was a CTO at a division of Intel. 10,000 units was our sample size. So it's too small. So what do? You don't get really new at-scale silicon. You cobble together what you can. You make the progress that you can. If you're lucky, you get FDA approval, and then you have to ship something that costs $100,000, $1 million, just the cost of goods. The result is it's unaffordable to make, to use, or to scale. So in contrast, a different way, making a platform of general purpose chips that do some of the things I've shown you today for stroke and cancer and mental disease, and letting everybody have those chips, putting their own software and technology to address different diseases on that. Just off the cuff, using that 2022 analysis, that's $19 million in capitalized costs and 3 years to get a regulatory approval. But that can fall really quickly, and I'm going to show you how. So this is what we have today, $500 million. Let's flip that on its side and make a general purpose platform, silicon, software, AI, and let everybody have access to it to do trials. They'll start averaging, that's $10 million to spend, with the compounding interest, it's $19 million, but we can go after hundreds of diseases in parallel, address the diseases all the Kates that you have in your lives have. It's just better. So who's going to do this work? There's 1 million papers written about using light and ultrasound and electromagnetics in our bodies. And what happens is the professors and the brilliant scientists that write these papers cobble together what they have. If they're lucky, they write a paper on that. If not, they do something with like just cells. And if they're lucky, they get preclinical. That means mice and rats usually, or maybe a small number of humans. But the vast, vast majority of the time, it stops there because they can't make the right device that can go down and is easy to use. But because of all that work, the therapy that I showed for glioblastoma, thanks to these 1 million papers, is applicable for every cancer. The therapy I showed for severe depression is applicable to treat every mental disease, neurodegenerative disease, addiction. The stroke blood flow that I showed you, applicable for all cardiovascular disease. And there's more, COVID, long COVID, stem cell simulation by changing that frequency, senescent cell rejuvenation for longevity treatment. Why not try to treat more people and more diseases faster for less money? Because it defies conventional wisdom. You're told as you do a startup, do one disease, because that's how it works for drugs. It's not a drug. So our moonshot is, let's not do one disease, let's do them all. Let's let everybody have access to this platform. And in January, we open sourced all of our technology, all the software, all the chip designs, all the laser designs, our 68 patents, everything, to make a platform everybody can use and set a new standard. So you can go make it yourself, or you can order right now on our website, and I'm not pitching to you, make it yourself or order it, put it in order. We're doing a new build of these things, and get it from us. And then you can still make it your own later, but you can get going with our devices. So there's another thing. I mentioned we can lower the cost even further. By sharing safety data pan-disease, the regulatory bodies like FDA require less patients. Every patient costs, on average, according to that study, $30,000 to $50,000. And think about the time of the trial. If you need 3x or 10x less patients, the trials go faster. Our loved ones are dying here. So it's a brilliant thing to do. So you're probably scratching your head and like, it's sort of crass to talk about business, but you're like, how do you guys make money? I don't mean to be offensive. I don't mean to. I put up this slide because so many people ask. Look, it's free as in speech, not free as in beer. That means we've made the recipe by analogy of our beer open to everybody, and you can use it and make your own or change it up a bit. You know that it's got good ingredients, we've told you what's in it, or you can go to the store and buy our beer. The way we make money is by making more of something. It's cheaper, we lower the price, but we take a portion of that savings in our profit. And in addition, when somebody gets a regulatory approval, which I think it's in reach for a patient group to come together with a doctor, hire one admin and get a regulatory approval for the device. It's important because without the regulatory approval, you can't use it for people. So once you get that, it's on our quality management build. We assure the FDA as part of the approval process that it has high quality. So we have a lock-in for a few years, but you can switch at any time. It engenders trust. The best products go through the most iteration. I would claim the current system of 20-year monopolies is somewhat anti-innovation. So, also, if you're looking broadly at costs, because do you think healthcare is too expensive or not expensive enough? Too expensive. We did a 20x difference in cost structure in silicon and software over the last 20 years compared to healthcare. So if you want to solve healthcare, you gotta look at doing things differently, and you've got to consider what some of the industries have been able to accomplish, the silicon and software. So finally, some good news. Kate's doctors gave me an update just last week, and they're going to make the efforts they've started the paperwork to start a trial for her. And so really, this is a silicon hospital that could cost what your smartphone costs, and in fact, is just an improvement of the silicon that's currently in your smartphone. Those camera chips that you have that can see the wavelengths of light, except you put a lens on them so you can't. The banks of hundreds of lasers, the ultrasound array that detects your fingerprint. What we're talking about is upgrading those. There's no reason the cost structure has to be different. We need to get the proof points of this. And I'm back to Kate. Kate has new hope. Thank you.